there's this constant evolution. And even through this podcast, like if you go back to some of the first episodes, you'll meet a completely different part of me. And then at the same time, you will always find a common thread among all of these different iterations of me. Welcome to Empower and Evolve, the vortex of growth that you have been looking for. I am your host, Kat Tannyberg. I'm a mindset coach for female leaders, and I am committed to helping you cultivate the mindset shifts that generate you wild success. Each episode, we explore ways to tap into your true potential. We face the shadows that hold you back, and we embrace the journey toward your most abundant life. If you love what you learn here today, then I invite you to share this episode with someone that needs to hear it. Right, it's time to plunge in. Hello, my love, and welcome to another episode of the Empower and Evolve podcast. Here we are, episode 3 of Soulful Business. Today, we're going to talk about the power of creating a personal brand. I've spent almost 8 years now in the online business space. And I have gone through the time where everyone told you to niche down, niche down, niche down, get so specific, talk about one thing, become known for one thing. And I bought into it for a while whilst I was still doing network marketing. To be honest, I can't even remember what my niche was back then. But oh my freaking God, do I now hate that advice? It literally makes me want to vomit. I hate the concept of having to niche down. And I recognize that for some people, niching down might totally work and they might love it. And it might totally be something that lights them up and helps them get super inspired for the business. But it's highly likely that if you are listening to this podcast, if you are in my space, you are like me, which means you are multi-passionate, multifaceted. You have many different topics you love to talk about. You have many different things that you're good at. And to put yourself into a small little box just does not feel good. A little while ago, someone introduced me to one of my mentors, Robin Savage. And Robin teaches a concept known as the brand is you. She goes as far as to say that the niche is dead, which I totally agree with. I totally believe the niche is dead, at least in my world. And when I came across her work, I really resonated with it. And I knew that I wanted to learn from her, especially when it came to personal branding. So I signed up for her mastermind. I spent all of 2024 in her mastermind. And I really loved being in there because whilst I was going through my identity crisis in 2024 and trying to figure out what it is that I want to do in business, who I want to help, who I want to work with, what I want to call myself, what I want to focus on, it was really helpful to be in a space with someone who encourages you to build a personal brand. So today I wanted to talk about that in our Soulful Business series because I do believe that building a personal brand is one of the most powerful things that you can do as an entrepreneur if you are, like me, multifaceted, multi-passionate, multi-directional. I often get asked this question by my clients. Should I A, create a new Instagram account, and B, come up with a brand name? And most of the time, my answer to both of these is no. First of all, when you start a brand new business and you start putting yourself out there and you start putting your services out there, 99% of the time, your first few clients will be people you've already known. They won't be a stranger of the internet. They will be someone who has been already in your network and who needs your services, who needs what you have to offer. So by you starting a whole new social media and only posting about your business on there, you are actually potentially cock blocking yourself from your first few sales. Again, this is not everyone's experience, but most often that's the case. I had a, just like quickly in my own mind, I went back to when I first started my network marketing business, especially in MLM. Most of the time, your first few clients are your friends and family. That wasn't necessarily the case for me. I did not have a very supportive friends and family network back then. And one of my first clients was someone from my network, though, someone who was on my social media. She was a yoga student of mine. And then it just started to build from there. But still, if I wouldn't have posted on my social media, she would have never seen them and she would have never become a client. So the same happens for you. And I get it. Most people often, if I start like peeling back the layers, they're actually afraid to share about their business because they're afraid of being salesy. They're afraid of what their friends and family will think, etc. But do you see how that is a way deeper underlying subconscious fear or block that you need to deal with? And it has actually nothing to do with starting a brand new Instagram and how starting a brand new Instagram is actually going to hold you back from really getting in front of the right people. So that's the first answer there. Then the second answer, should I come up with like a brand name? And unless that's my opinion, unless you are selling a product, you should always run with your name or come up with like a brand name that is very tied to you, that's very unique to you. Like I have a friend of mine, her um Instagram name, her company name is The Guiding Raven Wellness. And that's just very her and it suits her. And I totally support that. But most of the time, would much rather someone runs with their own name and really starts building that personal brand. And the reason why I really recommend building a personal brand is that your personal brand gets to evolve with you. If you are like me, you're multi-passionate, multifaceted, multi-talented, you're probably going to be changing as your business grows. And there's going to be many different pivots along the way. There's many moments of refinement. And if you're building a personal brand, that brand gets to evolve with you. And you get to take people on a journey with you as you evolve and change. And some people will drop off, some people will come back. It's all part of the journey, it's all part of the ride. So just embrace the journey for what it is and allow yourself to really hone into your zone of genius in that moment. If you come up with a brand name and it's very specific to who you are at that time, can you see how it's going to be way harder to change your brand name and to change everything about you and your business if you were to pivot? And the beautiful thing about personal brands is as well that they do get to evolve with you in the sense of, I think the older generation still got taught, find one job, find one career, stick with it for the rest of your life. But then these days, like my generations and below, we don't hold jobs for crazy periods of time. We're actually changing, we're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always seeking for the next thing, keeping things interesting. And I find that that's the same with business, actually, that you get to change and you get to evolve and you get to rebirth these new iterations of you. And it's actually very exciting. It keeps your business exciting, it keeps it interesting, it keeps it fresh. And when you allow yourself to build a personal brand, you will be known for all of these different facets. And the people that stick with you through all these different iterations, you're going to inspire them. You're actually going to show them that it's cool to evolve, it's cool to change, and it's okay to embrace different parts of you. Like even reflecting back on my journey, I've been through so many pivots and iterations from yoga teacher to network marketer to human design reader to menstrual cycle coach to women's empowerment coach to a transformational trauma coach to freaking business coach. I'm back. And now also really talking about money, which I'm loving, by the way. It's so freaking fun. I'm really, and the feedback has been really, really great. So there's this constant evolution. And even through this podcast, like if you go back to some of the first episodes, you'll meet a completely different part of me. And then at the same time, you will always find a common thread among all of these different iterations of me. Like I know that some of the common threads for me, at least over the last 3 or 4 years, have been teaching women to slow down, to rest, to embrace their cyclical nature and recognize that we don't function like men. So the resting and slowing down has been a key part of my story. Also creating success your way and allowing yourself to really tap into your individuality and your authenticity, and teaching you that you get to do and be whatever you want to create. You get to be whoever you want to be, and anything is possible. Like that openness, that open mindset, and showing people what's possible. That's always been something that I've been talking about. And it's been really cool to reflect back on the journey of my personal brand. And I think that, in my opinion, in order to really create this super soulful business, you want to create a personal brand and you want to really own your magnificence. And this is something I teach inside the mastermind, that you get to own all parts of you. And you don't have to buy into this concept that you have to talk about one thing until the rest of your life. Like you get to talk about all these different topics. I was actually talking about this on my mastermind call recently, where I have quite a few different content pillars. You know, I have feminine embodiment, I have mindset, I have business, I have money. And these are topics, and energetics. And these are topics I always talk about. And depending on what I'm selling and launching at that time will depend on what I'm going to be talking about in my social media. So for instance, January this year, I was talking a lot about feminine embodiment, feminine leadership, like stepping into your feminine, what that looks like, what all the different aspects are. Then in February, I started to talk more about business and money because I'm launching the mastermind and I'm launching my money mind reset. Who knows what we're talking about a few months from now? In March, it's still going to be money and business. April, who the hell knows? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. And yet, there is this concept that I've learned from Robin that I think is really genius, is the golden thread. So even though I don't believe in niching, I do believe that there's a golden thread. Something that gets woven in between all of your different offers, all of the different things you talk about, all of these different iterations of you that still have this one commonality. So for me, my golden thread is success your way. So whether it is, learning about money and figuring out your money mindset, I want you to create a successful money mindset your way. Whether I'm talking about feminine embodiment and what that looks like to really connect to your feminine side and step into your divine feminine, where you can find the balance between the feminine and masculine, I still want you to create success your way. In business, hell fucking yeah, do I want you to create success your way. I want you to ditch all the fucking rules out there and start to connect to your inner trust, your inner knowing. Stop overthinking and start putting yourself out there. Learn to master your energetics, learn to master the strategy, and fucking create success your way. In your mindset, I want you to have a mindset that allows you to create a life that feels successful in your way. Another example of a golden thread is Nike's Just Do It. So whether it's in their tennis, in their runners, in their football, like I don't even know what all the different sports are that Nike offers, but the common thread is just do it. Just get started. Just take action. So with your personal brand, what is your golden thread? What is that one thread that ties through all of the topics you love to talk about, all of your offers, and is this commonality that all of your clients get to experience when they work with you? That's the power of a personal brand. You can find your golden thread, you can find who you are, and then you get to figure out who is your ideal client. So this is one way where I do believe in niching down, is actually getting really clear on your ideal client and what they are working through. And another piece here is I don't believe that you only ever talking to just one person. You're going to be talking to different iterations of your ideal client. And oh my gosh, I'm teaching you so much if you're taking like notes and reading in between the lines here today. But there's this whole beautiful customer journey, and you will have different iterations of your ideal client at these different iterations of your customer journey. And you actually get to create different offers for these different points of your customer journey. So someone might join at the very beginning and might move through every single offer because they are at the very beginning and they kind of need to go through all these different iterations. But then you might have someone who joins in the middle because they've already done some of the work at the beginning of the client journey and now they move forward. The one thing though that I see a lot of people make mistakes with is that they try to talk to all of the different iterations of their ideal client in one post. And that's overwhelming as fuck. I want you to, with each one of your posts, to talk to one person. One person. And what is their experience? Like get really crystal clear on where you want your client to go from that post. What are they experiencing? What do they want? Like, what is their desire? What do they want to move towards? And how are you the bridge that takes them from where they are at right now to where they want to be? So just talk to one customer at a time in each of your posts. And when you sell your offers, sell the benefits instead of the inclusions. Most people don't give a crap about all the little tiny details of what's included in an offer. What they actually care about is what are they going to gain from it? Is it going to help them solve that problem? Is it going to get them closer to where they want to go? That's the power. So that's like maybe a whole freaking lesson, but here we go. It got channeled through. All in all, create a freaking personal brand. Own all of you, own your multifaceted, multi-talented, beautiful self, and create a business that allows you to evolve with you and pivot as you go along, and embrace the pivots, because each pivot is going to get you closer to the business that truly lights you up, the business that feels truly successful. And I get it, we're fearful of change, etc. And our nervous system and unconscious mind will resist the change, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I teach on it all the freaking time. Come into the Liberated Woman Mastermind and learn all about it. But the more you can take action, nevertheless, and the more you can still continue to evolve and continue to embrace new parts of you and actually let go of old offers or old ways of working with you. And if they no longer align, the more you can let go of that, the more you can continue to step into who you're meant to become and continue showing up authentically and keep building a personal brand that lights you the fuck up. That's all I've got for you today. Catch you next week. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And share it with someone who believes that they need to niche themselves down, to put themselves into a little box. And at the same time, the idea of putting themselves into a box makes them want to vomit. Share it with someone. They need to hear this message. Okay, I love you. Bye. Thank you for joining me on the Empower and Evolve podcast. I hope that today's episode has sparked a new insight, or perhaps reminded you of your own power to manifest change. If you found value in our time together, I invite you to subscribe and share this podcast with someone who might need a little reminder of their own magical power. It would mean the world to me if you could take just 2 minutes to review the podcast and help it reach more people. And remember, the journey of transformation is ongoing. And sometimes the most powerful step that we can take is to simply pause, breathe, and realign with our deepest intention. Until next time.